At midnight in a village, the light of hundreds of torches suddenly illuminated the area. The roar of a half-human, half-demon figure, riding on horseback, echoed as it charged forward. Chu Tam led the charge. Following his shout, dozens, then hundreds of other monstrous, non-human figures immediately surged forward, storming directly into the mansion before them. Hundreds of piercing screams tore through the wind, rushing inside. Inside the mansion, everyone present was frantically preparing for battle. A man with a solemn face, showing clear anger, stared at the figure standing opposite him, speaking each word with fury. "Mark, our family agreed to marry our daughter to you. Why would you do this?" The one named Mark merely stared at him, then sneered. "What does your family marrying off your daughter to us have to do with anything? I believe the feud between our two families ends here." The man became enraged again, clutching his head. "Damn you, how dare you break the engagement yourselves? Today, let me see who can destroy the Phuong family." Mark curled his lips into a smile. Behind him, a young woman still in her wedding attire angrily shouted, "Mark, what are you doing?" Mark turned to look at the girl and said, "What am I doing? You still don't understand. It turns out your royal family is just a useless, foolish bunch. Today is the day your family will be annihilated." Hearing this, the girl froze. Only now did she realize that all the joyous events planned for them today were merely part of this brutal scheme. Outside, the Mac family's people easily broke through. Dozens, hundreds of demon-like figures stormed inside, surrounding everyone present. On this side, Phuong Ngoc, the daughter of the Phuong family, angrily glared at the crowd and roared, "Get out of my house!" Then she looked past Mark's people and her gaze fell upon a young man who still appeared human. She bit her lip tightly. This young man, Leo, with his handsome face, hadn't even had time to react to her question. Phuong Ngoc pulled a knife from her clothes and pressed it to her throat, declaring in a low voice, "If you don't leave quickly, you won't get what you want, even if it means my death." All the Mac family members watched Phuong Ngoc silently. Mark laughed at her action, saying, "What do you plan to do? Do you think doing this can scare Mark? Truly foolish. Give way." A cold voice ignored Phuong Ngoc's threat. Hearing that voice, several demon humans rushed forward to attack the Phuong family. In just moments, dozens of Phuong family members fell, bleeding profusely. The Phuong family's patriarch could no longer bear to watch and charged forward to attack. But before he could even move, a monstrous hand suddenly pierced through the left side of his chest from behind. Patriarch Phuong, with his remaining strength, turned his face backward and could only stammer, "Phuong? Phuong En?" The hand immediately withdrew, pulling out a pulsating green heart. Then the demon smiled and advanced towards the Mac family's people. This sudden event left everyone unable to react. The one considered the head of the Phuong family and the strongest had been killed in an instant. Phuong Ngoc was utterly stunned. "Father, father!" She then turned to glare at the crowd, continuing to threaten them. "If you want what's in me, I'll let them have it. Otherwise, you'll never get it." Saying this, her hand, holding the knife, began to press firmly against her neck, attempting suicide. On this side, the young man, Leo, instinctively took a step forward, reaching out to stop her. "Phuong Ngoc, don't." Before he could finish, Phuong Ngoc swallowed hard and plunged the knife directly into her own neck. Her head fell and she collapsed to the ground. Green blood, not red, immediately gushed out from her body. Her eyes stared blankly at Leo. As Phuong Ngoc lay crumpled in a pool of green blood, Leo could only stammer, his hands and feet trembling. Ignoring Leo, the rest of the Mac family members merely sneered. The monstrous, horrifying figure spoke. "The fool thinks that if she dies, the crimson essence within her cannot be taken. Everyone, heed my command and wipe them all out." Immediately, the demonic aura soared through the entire sky. Blood splattered, and the clash of sharp iron claws resonated. In the ensuing chaos, people fought desperately, some attacking, some defending. Quickly, one by one, the Phuong family members fell to the ground, their bodies drenched in blood, lifeless. On one side, Leo remained standing, his eyes trembling, tears streaming down as he stared at Phuong Ngoc's lifeless body, which was transforming into a demon in the pool of green blood. His lips moved, and 2 streams of tears flowed out. I'm sorry." The shadows of the transforming demons surged towards Leo. A voice then echoed, "Leo, kill them all, don't let them escape." He remained frozen, looking at the 2 demon humans in front of him, and wearily said, "Go quickly, go, only then can you succeed." The 2 demon humans looked at each other warily, not yet deciding what to do. Leo urged them again, "Go quickly, I can't hold on much longer." The two opposite him, though still disbelieving, reluctantly took steps to leave, their eyes still fixed on him. Leo, however, remained absolutely still, letting the two pass. Around them, the fierce battle among the demon humans continued, no one paying attention to Leo's position. The two demon humans, once outside, returned to their normal human forms, tears streaming down their faces as they fled into the darkness. In the courtyard, Leo paid no attention to them. He looked at Phuong Ngoc's body once more, and his last tear fell onto her. It was then that he transformed into a demon and plunged into the battle. Years later, Many years later, early one morning in a quiet village, the sound of trumpets and firecrackers echoed throughout an old house at the end of the village. Red decorations adorned the entire house and even spilled out onto the street, indicating a wedding. In a small room, a young woman with a delicate figure sat silently on a bed, all adorned in red. A maid approached and said, "It's time, young mistress." The girl, her head covered with a red bridal veil, didn't react immediately. Beneath the veil was a beautiful, lightly made-up face. Her flushed cheeks held a hint of sadness in her eyes. Seeing the bride's lack of reaction, the maid urged again, "It's time, let's go quickly." The maid quickly reached out to help, guiding the bride step by step towards the outside. The door opened, revealing countless people waiting. Nearest were two elderly individuals with stern, anxious faces, the bride's parents. Seeing their daughter, now a woman of marriageable age, about to become a daughter-in-law in another family, their hearts were filled with unbearable pain. Matriarch Manhoa, the bride's mother, looked at her daughter in the red dress, feeling both joy and sorrow. Joy because her daughter was marrying into a powerful and wealthy family in the village, never having to worry about food or clothing, with countless servants. Sorrow because this marriage was not born of love. Their family faced hardship, struggling with the basics. It seemed heaven had no eyes. Just before, Patriarch Phuong, Matriarch Manhoa's husband and Luna Phuong's father, had suddenly fallen gravely ill. Already poor, their situation became even more dire after Patriarch Phuong became bedridden, as if on the verge of meeting his ancestors. Matriarch Manhoa had no choice but to go and kneel at the Mac family's gate to borrow money for her husband's treatment. Fortunately, at the words of their eldest son, the Mac family agreed to lend them enough money to cure her husband. Patriarch Phuong quickly recovered and regained his health. But before they could celebrate much, that very evening, the eldest son of the Mac family personally arrived with his people. Without giving the parents time to react, the eldest son entered and loudly declared, "So, you seem well now, old man?" "Yes, young master. Thanks to your family's kindness, my husband has recovered." "I don't know when we can ever repay this debt." "That's good then. Debts are debts and your family owes them. You have to pay them back, right?" "Yes, young master, you are right. I will definitely gather enough money and personally bring it to you. Why do you need to come here personally, young master?" Marcus then softened his voice and said, "So I shouldn't have come here personally." "And no, young master, I didn't mean that. Please forgive me." "But what? Speak clearly, don't make me upset." "Sir, truthfully, my husband has just recovered, so we haven't gathered enough money to repay your family right now. Please forgive us." His voice trembled as he managed to utter the last word. Marcus chuckled, waving his hand, his voice a little mysterious. "Has it come time for me to demand the full amount from you right now? That's just your own thought." "Yes. So, young master, you are here today for something else, something that will also benefit your family." After saying this, he gave a faint, insidious smile and glanced at the young girl with an ethereal beauty who had just reached marriageable age. Patriarch Phuong and Matriarch Manhoa exchanged surprised glances, still not understanding Marcus's meaning. They both swallowed, their expressions a little serious, wondering why the eldest son had come today and what he intended to discuss with them. Patriarch Phuong stammered nervously, "Yes, what is it, young Master Marcus?" Marcus saw him flustered and stammering and chuckled, "I told you I'm here for something else, something good for your family." His hands were clasped in front of him, trying to remain respectful before the Mac family's eldest son. Patriarch Phuong still didn't understand his intentions. Marcus then continued, "It's nothing big. I'm here today to talk about your family's debt, but not to demand it back." Patriarch Phuong, already sensing the sinister undertone in his words, his mouth trembled. He knew with this man's personality, what Marcus was about to say would likely not be good. "Yes, what is it, young master? Please tell my family directly." Marcus sat down on a chair with a haughty expression and gently said, I want to forgive your family's debt." Hearing these words directly from Marcus's mouth, the two parents became even more astonished, their mouths agape. Still not believing their ears, Patriarch Phuong then asked, "Why, you just said what, young master? I want to forgive your family's debt, but there's one condition." Only then did the two parents believe what they had just heard, but their surprise lessened a bit due to the condition Marcus had just mentioned. Patriarch Phuong asked in a low voice, "What is the condition? Please tell us, young master. My family will surely meet it." Marcus then smiled, a fake, chilling smile. He then glanced at the daughter sitting in the corner of the house and said, "Your family's debt will be completely wiped out if you marry your daughter to me. What do you say, old man?" Luna Phuong, at this moment, also heard the conditions spoken by the Mac family's young master. Her entire body trembled with fear. Her teeth chattered, knowing that if he spoke a word today, no one could stop him. On this side, Marcus saw the parents kneeling as if begging, as if not agreeing with his wish, and his voice hardened with anger. "What? Don't tell me you don't agree to such a good proposition?" Patriarch Phuong was so scared he didn't know what to do. This sudden turn of events left him momentarily speechless, unable to answer. However, he also knew that if he refused today, neither Marcus nor the entire Mac clan would let his family off lightly. Young Master Marcus's voice continued to grow increasingly angry. "What? You still haven't answered me? Is the offer I made not good, to have your debt forgiven and become in-laws with the Mac family? Such a thing is not for everyone." Patriarch Phuong bowed his head again, stammering in a rush. "Yes, young master, this is indeed a good thing, something my family couldn't even dream of, but what? Don't tell me your family is disrespecting me by having me come here personally today. It seems you've all grown some guts, haven't you?" Hearing this, Patriarch Phuong's face turned pale with fright. Finally, helplessly, he had to look at his daughter with eyes that begged for her forgiveness and conveyed his utter powerlessness. He gasped, "Young master, my family agrees to marry my daughter to you." Luna Phuong, seeing her father's tearful, choked gaze and hearing every word he spoke, felt her body go numb, only able to utter incoherent sounds. On this side, Marcus's face relaxed upon hearing his words, and he smiled, resting his hand on the back of the chair before standing up and saying, "Excellent. If that's the case, then the money your family borrowed from the Mac family is forgiven. Prepare your family. My family will arrange the wedding to take the bride. Remember, if you change your mind, you'll know the consequences." Both parents were in tears, only able to bow their heads submissively. The people left and only 4 remained in the house: the 2 parents, Luna Phuong, and her young brother. Patriarch Phuong looked at his daughter, tears in his eyes, unable to say anything. Matriarch Menhoa stepped forward and embraced Luna Phuong, saying, "My child, your father and I are sorry." Luna Phuong choked back sobs, unable to form words. Patriarch Phuong looked at his wife and daughter, wiping Luna Phuong's tears. Finally, Luna Phuong managed to say, "Father, mother, you don't need to feel guilty. I am your daughter. How can I let you suffer?" Hearing his daughter say this, Patriarch Phuong's heart felt even more crushed. The 2 parents loved their daughter dearly. Luna Phuong was naturally beautiful and gentle, with a docile nature, unlike her younger brother who was still too young to help his parents with tasks. In those times, where children obeyed their parents' choices and men were valued over women, with men having multiple wives and concubines, it was commonplace. Daughters of Luna Phuong's age would typically be married off to become concubines. The lucky ones would be loved by their husbands, but some might only serve to bear children for wealthy and powerful families in the region. Her parents, out of love for their daughter, never wanted her to face the same predicament as others. They worried about their daughter's unknown fate. If Luna Phuong didn't want to, her parents would never force her to marry. However, life rarely goes as desired. Poverty and vulnerability prevented people like them from standing up for justice. Matriarch Menhoa now finally understood why young Master Marcus had personally stepped in to speak kindly and lend them such a large sum of money. Realizing it now was too late. What was done could not be undone. Patriarch Phuong also had no desire for this marriage. Becoming a concubine in that household might seem comfortable on the surface. Coupled with Luna Phuong's beauty, the eldest son of that family surely wouldn't treat his daughter badly. But who could say? They had no love for each other. It was all because of the debt, and he knew the Mac family valued their reputation. Marcus himself had come to ask today, how could he refuse? Perhaps by agreeing to marry into that family, Luna Phuong might have a better life. Conversely, it could also be the cause of a miserable life later for both her and her parents. Luna Phuong, being gentle and understanding, loved her parents and many reasons why Patriarch Phuong was forced to agree. She now said, "Father, mother, don't be sad. Marrying into that family isn't such a bad thing after all. On the contrary, I can help you and my brother." Her words were brave, but her heart was heavy with sorrow at marrying someone she had no feelings for. Luna Phuong knew that entering that household, she might become a concubine. How could she possibly have the good life people imagined? Luna Phuong also fully understood that Marcus wanted to take her as a concubine not just for her beautiful appearance. Now, she could only wish for a peaceful life there, considering it good fortune. But even that small wish might not be granted. After everything was decided, Patriarch Phuong sat down to talk with his daughter. "My daughter, I am glad you understand and don't blame your parents. I only wish I had something so I wouldn't have to push you into such a situation myself, but I am powerless. How can I rest easy knowing my daughter is becoming a concubine?" But now, he had to accept everything. He only hoped that she wouldn't suffer too much or be scorned. "Just live your lives, mother and father, take care of my brother. Don't do anything to cause misunderstandings, or you'll suffer." Patriarch Phuong's eyes were filled with tears, and he took his daughter's frail hand. "My child, after you go there, you must live properly. Don't let this incident make you have a bad attitude. Remember your father's words. That family, from father to son, has always had many wives and concubines, as you know. Such a large household will surely have jealousy and envy. You understand what your father means, right?" Luna Phuong nodded, listening to her father's words. This situation was not unfamiliar to her. It was common for concubines in such families to be jealous and envious of each other, scheming to gain control of the family assets, with many rumors circulating. It was even rumored that some concubines almost miscarried, and some even nearly lost their lives, but no one could ever find out who was responsible, so the Mac family only investigated in silence. Things were just like that, rumors spreading by word of mouth, their truth unknown. However, that wasn't the only thing that worried him. He held Luna Phuong's hand, looking into her eyes with a deep, hidden gaze, and slowly said, "Luna Phuong, there's something you must remember. That house, from ancient times until now, hides a great secret that not everyone can know. And those who accidentally learn of it don't come to a good end. You won't understand what I'm saying now, but perhaps after you're there, you will encounter unclean things. It's the secret of that family. If you encounter it, it's best not to make a big deal out of it. Do you understand?" Luna Phuong looked at her father's somewhat profound eyes and felt a shiver of fear, but she still tried to nod. "I understand, father. Your unfilial daughter won't be able to stay by your side and care for you." Saying this, she cried, kneeling and bowing to her parents several times. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Patriarch Phuong sat sighing outside the door, looking at the star-filled sky. In his eyes, filled with worries and the weariness of an old man, a strange gleam suddenly appeared. His face tightened, his teeth clenched, and he whispered, almost a growl, "If any of you harm a single hair on that child's head, no matter what, I will seek vengeance upon you all." Saying this, he withdrew his strange gaze and pondered, recalling fragments of memories from his father's lifetime, and validating things that seemed illogical but which he had personally verified, for he too was a demon human. His father, when alive, had recounted how the demon clans, the Phuong family and the Mac family, had coexisted for a long time, for hundreds, even thousands of years. The Phuong family had failed in an attack on the Mac family, and thus became vulnerable. Over time, the hatred between the two clans, both carrying demon blood, gradually faded away, and no one cared, believing the Phuong family had been completely annihilated. Hundreds more years passed, and the bitter enmity between the two demon clans also slowly sank into the past. Even the current Mac family knew nothing of what had happened 1,000 years ago. The only thing they knew was about people possessing demon blood. But this matter was now known to very few. Patriarch Phuong was a descendant of the Phuong family of that era, who had fortunately survived. In those days, a few members of the clan had escaped the Mac family's pursuit and secretly existed until now. That deep-seated hatred for the clan's destruction still flowed in their blood, but it had also gradually weakened over time. Few of the later generations inherited demon blood, and the truth about their bloodline was rarely passed down, known only to a select few. In those days, when his father told him about their clan, Patriarch Phuong also tried to find the demon bloodline within himself, and indeed, he transformed into an extremely bloodthirsty demon. Luna Phuong was his biological daughter, and he also had a young son. He didn't know if either of his children carried demon blood. However, when Luna Phuong was married off, if she had the ability, she would definitely come into contact with the demonic entities that existed within those people. At that time, there was a high possibility of major trouble. Returning to the present, Luna Phuong was still slowly walking, step by step in her red bridal attire guided by the maid. Her parents could only watch their daughter, tears streaming down their faces. Her younger brother then ran to hug her, choking back sobs. "Sister, stay home with me, please don't go. Be good, don't cry. Stay home and take care of father and mother for me, okay? I love you very much." Her younger brother sobbed, his tears falling onto her wedding dress. Luna Phuong continued to walk, clear tears rolling down from beneath the veil covering her face. Outside, Marcus, also in wedding attire, stood proudly, waiting. After the wedding, Luna Phuong was at the Mac family home, sitting in her room, still wearing the bridal veil. In her ears were the joyful sounds of people eating and drinking outside. Luna Phuong could only sit in silence, not moving, her eyes still filled with sadness beneath the veil. Suddenly, the door opened, and someone quickly entered, looking flustered. "Here comes your young master. You must have waited for me for a long time, didn't you?" From his voice, Luna Phuong knew it was none other than the eldest son, Marcus. The smell of wine was strong on him. He reached out, removed the veil from her head, and without caring, roughly embraced Luna Phuong, pushing her onto the bed. At that moment, he was like a wild beast, disregarding Luna Phuong's attitude. Luna Phuong lay there, letting the eldest son do as he pleased, because calling out for help now would be useless, so she just bit her lip and endured. 2 streams of tears flowed out, rolling down her temples and onto the floor beneath the bed. Marcus continued to exert his primal desires, completely oblivious to his wife's feelings. After a while, it was over, and he collapsed beside Luna Phuong, falling into a deep sleep. Lying on one side, Luna Phuong continued to weep silently, feeling the darkness close in around her, bearing the physical and emotional pain inflicted by the man she would now have to call her husband. A man who took her as his wife, but harbored no affection. Elsewhere along a small path, dozens of hooves galloped. Leading them was a young man with a handsome face, dressed in black, his long hair tied high. A man riding next to him said, "At this speed, we'll reach home by nightfall, young Master Leo." The young man, Leo, with his excellent features, nodded and said, "All right, hurry up. We should get back before dark." "Yes, young master." The young man was Leo, the son of Patriarch and Matriarch Mac, and Marcus's younger brother. For some time, his father had sent him away to work somewhere, and today he was returning upon hearing news of his brother's wedding. Hearing that his eldest brother was marrying a girl from the Phuong family, Leo suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. On horseback, Leo murmured, "Phuong family? Could it be?" Leo exhaled a trembling breath, his whole body shaking uncontrollably. As predicted, by nightfall, Leo arrived at the beautifully decorated grand house. Stepping down from his horse, Leo trembled slightly as he looked inside. The main door immediately opened, and several people quickly came out. "Oh my goodness, young Master Leo is back. I missed you so much." The woman speaking was Mrs. Thur, Patriarch Mac's first wife and the mother of Marcus and Leo. Taking her hand, Leo said, "Yes, mother, I'm back now. It took a long time to finish my work, so I'm only just returning. Is father well?" "Father and mother are both well, only worried about you. Come on, go inside with everyone." Leo smiled, nodded, and followed. His father, Patriarch Mac, also walked out cheerfully. "You're back now, come inside." Marcus, walking beside his father, quickly approached and patted his younger brother's shoulder. "Leo, you have to pay your respects today, you know. It's your brother's wedding, and you're only just returning." "That's not right." "Ah, yes, my fault, brother. I apologize again." After replying, Leo subtly looked around as if searching for someone. Not seeing the bride, Marcus asked, "Are you looking for your sister-in-law? She's tired, so she's resting in her room. I'll call her out to meet you later." Leo only murmured and went inside. As he stepped through the door, he suddenly stopped short, biting his tongue, his face contorted as he looked around, whispering, "This feeling?" Patriarch Mac looked at his son's expression with a slight frown. From the moment he saw his second son return, a certain thought had flickered in his mind, but he hadn't spoken it immediately. Now, seeing Leo lost in thought, his eyes directed towards Marcus's room, which was also Luna Phuong's resting place, he frowned. He knew Leo wasn't looking in that direction out of curiosity about his brother's new bride, but because of a different sensation, a sensation similar to what he felt when Luna Phuong entered the house this morning. Patriarch Mac, seeing his son like this, asked, "What's wrong, son? Come on in." "Ah, nothing. I just haven't been back for a long time, that's all." That's right. Our house has been renovated a bit, so it's natural for you to find it strange. Come on, go take a bath and join the feast with everyone." Leo bowed respectfully to his parents and turned in another direction, as if to avoid passing his brother's wedding room. His steps seemed to slow, his breath light, drawn towards the scent from the room where his brother was. But something made him quickly continue walking, pushing aside his thoughts. Inside the room, Luna Phuong had also just felt someone outside, and a sudden suffocating feeling overwhelmed her, making her tremble. She gasped for air, her teeth clenched, biting her tongue, trying to stand up and see who was outside. Before she could straighten up, the door opened, and a figure stepped in. "Are you awake now, wife? Come out with everyone. It's not good to stay in the room alone." Luna Phuong felt a little disappointed, realizing it was Marcus. She nodded shyly, signaling for him to go out so she could change. Marcus nodded and walked out, murmuring, "Ugh, she acts like I'm looking at her." He stepped outside, closed the door, and waited. Inside, Luna Phuong, though Marcus's words were soft, had heard them clearly. She felt a little sad, then quickly put on another outfit prepared in the room. Outside, Marcus was waiting for Luna Phuong when he saw Leo approaching from a distance down the hallway. He called out, "Leo, are you ready? Come out with your brother to join everyone." "Yes, brother, let's go." Then the two walked away together. Inside the room, Luna Phuong, standing by the door, heard Leo's soft voice and froze. Her hand trembled, her eyes unable to maintain their composure. She raised a hand to stop the tears that threatened to fall. Luna Phuong then pushed the door open and stepped out. In the large reception hall of the Mac family, many people were seated, enjoying the feast. Leo sat there, raising his glass and chatting with people. He then raised his wine glass towards Marcus and said, "Tonight, Leo apologizes in advance for coming late." After saying this, Leo drained the glass of wine in one gulp. As he was about to sit down, he suddenly stopped, having accidentally seen two women approaching. One was a household maid, the other was someone whose familiarity stunned him. The hand holding the wine glass suddenly trembled uncontrollably. Marcus's eyes could not avoid the sight. Before Leo, a young woman approached. It was Luna Phuong, who had just been taken as Marcus's concubine. He stammered, murmuring, Phuong Ngoc." The eldest son, seeing his new wife arrive, quickly stepped forward to lead her inside. Luna Phuong sat down next to Mrs. Thur and gently bowed to everyone and Leo. Mrs. Thur, whose circumstances were similar to Luna Phuong's in the past, warmly asked, "Wife, sit down and eat. You haven't eaten anything since this morning, have you?" "Yes, Mrs. Thur, please don't mind me." Two people, two destinies, two different circumstances. Back in the days when Leo had not yet left home by his father's command, he and Luna Phuong had developed feelings for each other. He had intended to return later and ask his father for permission to bring her home as his wife. Now, his wish to live together under the same roof had come true. It was only a pity that Luna Phuong had become Marcus's concubine, not his wife. Leo sat there, lost in thought, staring at Luna Phuong, his body trembling, unsure how to face this reality. Marcus held up his wine glass and spoke loudly, startling him. "Leo, just one glass is not enough. If you don't drink until you're drunk with your brother tonight, you can't go home, understand?" "Yes, brother, I'll obey." That night, Marcus drank until he was completely drunk, unable to walk on his own. Luna Phuong, knowing her duty as a wife, had to help him back to his room. When Leo saw her close to Marcus, he trembled. The familiar scent, now mixed with the smell of wine, only added to his sorrow. He could only stand silently watching Luna Phuong and Mrs. Thur lead Marcus back to his room. Then Mrs. Thur said, "Wife, stay here with me tonight, don't worry about anything." Luna Phuong could only nod and bow to Mrs. Thur. Before becoming a daughter-in-law, she knew Marcus already had a wife and a young child. She thought her arrival would make Mrs. Thur uncomfortable and try to obstruct her. But no, Mrs. Thur's attitude towards Luna Phuong had been very kind, making her glad inside. Mrs. Thur went outside and closed the door. Her face held a hint of sadness, and she couldn't help but shake her head about the eldest son taking another wife. Understanding Luna Phuong's situation, Mrs. Thur also felt pity for her, a beauty whose life couldn't be as she wished, having to give herself to someone who didn't love her. Mrs. Thur left. Luna Phuong then took out another set of clothes and lay down on the bed next to her husband. Having just arrived, she had to endure the physical and emotional torment of someone who didn't love her. Adding to that was the ironic situation with Leo. In contrast to Marcus and others in this family, he was a warm and kind person. That's why she had fallen in love with him then, but cruel fate had prevented the two from being together. Luna Phuong lay there, deep in thought, her face wet with tears. Suddenly, she heard footsteps approaching from somewhere. Having lived in a small, cramped house with only a few family members until now, Luna Phuong was not used to living in such a large house with many corridors. She felt a little strange and afraid, as it was late at night, yet she still heard footsteps. The footsteps came closer and closer, refusing to stop, making her heart pound with fear. She thought it was time, yet she only heard footsteps, no one speaking. She found it odd because if people were walking together outside, they should be talking. From the sound of the footsteps, she could tell there were at least 2 or 3 people walking together, yet not a single sound of speech. Luna Phuong wondered if the atmosphere in such a noble house was always like this. The house was full of people, yet a chilling sensation permeated it, making one want to suffocate. After a while, the footsteps stopped, and silence returned to the Mac family's mansion. Luna Phuong no longer felt so scared. She closed her eyes, intending to rest after a tiring day. But thoughts of home, of her parents, once again made her cry silently. As she silently wept with her eyes closed, Luna Phuong suddenly opened them wide, looking at the space in front of her. Ahead, only a faint moonlight filtered through the paper-covered window. Shadows of indistinct shapes from the window were cast onto the white wall. Luna Phuong lay still on the bed, the sound of Marcus's snoring still echoing. And then, as she was still silently crying, she suddenly felt someone watching her. Startled, she opened her eyes and looked around the room with trembling eyes, but only saw a few indistinct things in the faint light in front of her. No one else was there. Luna Phuong gasped a few times in fear, trying to regain her composure. This was her first time sleeping in a strange house since childhood, making her overthink and become sensitive to everything around her. Before she could calm down, there were rustling footsteps outside. This time, it was just the sound of someone moving step by step, not hurried like before. The fear made Luna Phuong quickly curl up, pulling the blanket over her whole body. Outside, the footsteps continued, step by step, along the corridor, moving towards Luna Phuong's room. The sound of the footsteps made her feel pressured. Recalling her father's words that day, Luna Phuong wondered, "What's happening? Is it really as father said?" Now, she shuddered again. Before he married her off, Patriarch Phuong had warned that she might encounter unclean things here. So, was what was happening now exactly as he had said? And why did Patriarch Phuong, her father, know so clearly and yet still allow the marriage? She pushed aside the questions in her heart, as the growing fear overwhelmed her mind. Could it be that on her first night here, she had already encountered what her father had spoken of? Outside, the footsteps continued steadily, slowly echoing towards the room. Luna Phuong still tried to convince herself that it was just some maids working outside. But the more she thought about it, Luna Phuong felt it wasn't right, because these footsteps didn't sound human. No one walked making such strange noises. Luna Phuong lay still, not daring to blink, staring at the light in front of her breath soft as if trying to hold it to listen to the footsteps outside. She noticed that everything around her was normal, nothing had changed, but Luna Phuong still didn't dare to take her eyes off the space opposite the bed. But outside, the rhythmic clack-clack of wooden sandals was getting closer and closer to her room. The closer the footsteps came, the more Luna Phuong curled up, trying to move further inside, even touching Marcus. Outside, the footsteps stopped right in front of the room. The shadow of that person was cast on the paper-covered door and shone directly into the room. There, Luna Phuong trembled in waves of fear. Just as she thought, someone was outside, right in front of her room. The person's shadow was cast on her wall and stood there motionless. Luna Phuong's terrified eyes were fixed on the shadow on the wall. It stood still and silent, unclear if it was male or female. Having no other choice, Luna Phuong had to reach back and pat Marcus to wake him up. Only he could help her overcome her fear now. But contrary to her hopes, no matter what Luna Phuong did, Marcus only slept soundly, snoring steadily. He was too drunk to care about anything. Helpless, Luna Phuong had to give up and turned back to look at the dark shadow. It was still vividly cast on the wall, not having moved away. In this situation, she couldn't possibly believe it was a servant of the house. Why would they be there so late? Moreover, if they were there, why would they stand still like a statue, not knocking on the door or calling inside? Fear gripped her as she stared at the dark shadow, trembling uncontrollably. Her mouth mumbled silently in terror, not daring to call out for help. The dark shadow standing silently opposite finally began to move. Looking at its movement, Luna Phuong realized that it was turning around, facing towards the room. When the dark shadow had completely turned, Luna Phuong was able to recognize it as the shadow of a woman, with long hair flowing down, then it stopped. Seeing this image at midnight, Luna Phuong couldn't help but feel terrified. She didn't know if the woman standing outside the door was a ghost or a human. Why was that person here at this hour, and why were they just standing still? The more she wondered, the more Luna Phuong felt scared. She only wished the person would leave immediately. Outside, somewhere in the Mac mansion, young Master Leo stood beside a corridor pillar, slightly frowning, his hand clenched, looking towards the eldest son's room. Just as his words ended, the figure standing in front of the eldest son's room immediately stopped, no longer moving, but turned and left, vanishing into the night. Luna Phuong lay down, trying to figure out who that person was. She thought it might be Mrs. Thur, for some reason exploring at midnight. But she dismissed the idea because Mrs. Thur's hair was quite short, not long like the person's shadow. So, could it be the first wife? No, because that person's figure was quite tall, not short like the first wife. Lost in thought, Luna Phuong eventually fell asleep without realizing it. Outside, where Leo stood, he looked up at the moon, his hands clasped behind his back. Phuong Ngoc, the Phuong family's secrets might be revealed. Saying this, he subtly glanced behind him, speaking to someone hidden. Later, when I'm away, make sure to protect her well. If anyone discovers anything, quickly report it to me. Responding to young Master Leo was only silence. Behind the ornamental plants, only the gentle sway of leaves. He turned his face back to look up at the star-filled sky, his eyes suddenly flashing with a reddish light. A thin thread of blood burst forth, then slowly disappeared. With a sigh, young Master Leo turned and walked back into his room to sleep. In a room filled with ancient bookshelves, Patriarch Mac was meticulously reading every word in a black-covered book titled Human Demon Bloodline. Turning page after page, Patriarch Mac frowned, stopping at a particular page. He whispered, "Demon's Crimson Essence." Patriarch Mac continued to read the small words written below, his expression growing more profound. After finishing, he suddenly stopped, frowned, and looked towards Marcus's room, where Luna Phuong was also sitting, and wondered, "That child, who is she?" Closing the book, Patriarch Mac sighed and walked out of the room. Ever since Luna Phuong entered the house, he had felt something strange. Not only that, but his second son, young Master Leo, also gave him an inexplicable feeling when he had just returned home. Another long day passed, but Luna Phuong still hadn't gotten used to life in this place. She only felt humiliation every time Marcus touched her body, then torment. The only unexpected comfort was that Luna Phuong was cared for by Mrs. Thur and several other people in the house, including Mrs. Ba, Patriarch Mac's concubine. Luna Phuong felt that this family was indeed a bit strange, but there was absolutely no rivalry among the wives and concubines, contrary to rumors. In fact, they were very harmonious. A young maid, still quite young, was washing Luna Phuong's feet and asked, "How do you find life here, young mistress?" Luna Phuong didn't know how to answer. The maid continued, "I guess you're surprised, aren't you? Back when I first came here to work, I was just like you, young mistress. I thought I'd have to endure to earn money. I thought the atmosphere in this family would be as tense as the rumors said, so we servants would have a hard time. But it's the opposite, young mistress. This family treats us servants very well, unlike other families. The wives and concubines have lived harmoniously together all this time, so I realized that rumors are just rumors." Luna Phuong hummed in agreement, smiling, seeing that the maid also felt the atmosphere here was completely contrary to what she had expected. But suddenly, Luna Phuong felt a sharp pain in her head, and an image of a handsome young man, also a member of the Mac family, flashed in her mind. Her lips trembled slightly. Still thinking, she heard the maid's voice and smiled faintly, asking, "What's your name?" "My name is Viola, young mistress." "Viola, you've worked here for a long time, haven't you?" Yes, that's right, young mistress. So, living here for so long, have you ever encountered anything strange in this house? Strange. What do you mean, young mistress? I haven't seen anything strange besides what I just told you. Luna Phuong knew that Viola probably didn't know anything, so she reconsidered and probed further. So, let me ask you, when do the servants usually rest? Well, usually if there's nothing else to do after taking care of you like this, I get to rest. Only a few people with specific duties that I don't know about are still awake, but they're not in the mansion, they go somewhere. I see. Well, you're done, go rest now, you must be tired. Viola nodded and carried the basin of water out. Inside the room, Luna Phuong sat on the bed, lost in thought, slightly trembling because of Viola's words. If that was the case, where did the hurried footsteps she heard last night come from? A sudden knock on the door startled her. Who is it? There was no answer, but the knocking continued. Assuming it was Viola returning, Luna Phuong said, Viola, what is it? Haven't you gone to rest yet? No one replied to Luna Phuong. Realizing this, she shivered slightly, looking towards the white wall opposite her. Tonight, the moonlight seemed even brighter than the previous night, and on the wall, the silhouette of a long-haired woman stood motionless, facing towards the room. Her whole body trembled because she was alone in the room. Marcus, she didn't know where he was. The fear, like last night, once again overwhelmed her. Luna Phuong stared intently at the leaning shadow on the wall, stammering incessantly. Who? Who are you? Still no answer. The sound of creaking wood reached her, making Luna Phuong's hair stand on end. 2 consecutive nights being haunted by the same shadow at her door. How could she not be scared? Luna Phuong sat perfectly still, holding her breath, waiting for the shadow to leave. She didn't care who it was, even if it was Marcus, as long as he was present, her fear would quickly subside. But the longer she waited, Luna Phuong saw no one else appear. Outside the door, the dark shadow of the woman with long hair, flowing in the wind, entered the room and began knocking continuously on the door, increasing her fear. She didn't know if she was too scared and losing her mind, but Luna Phuong decided to open the door herself to see who it was. She stood up, gathered all her courage, and took a deep breath. Luna Phuong took a step forward, full of tension, her breath seeming to catch in her throat. Her eyes were fixed on the shadow in front of her. As she got closer to the door, which was covered by a curtain, Luna Phuong saw clearly that someone was indeed standing there. Excuse me, who's at the door? As soon as her question ended, the dark shadow outside suddenly turned and walked away without answering. Luna Phuong knew that person intended to leave, so she quickly opened the door and rushed out. As the door opened, Luna Phuong immediately ran in the direction of the retreating figure. She realized it was indeed a woman. Standing tall, the person was also a girl of her own age. She found it strange because this was the first time she had seen this girl in the Mac mansion since her arrival 2 days ago. As far as Luna Phuong knew, only Marcus had married a wife, which was her, and Mrs. Thur. This young girl, walking away from her, surely wasn't Mrs. Thur. Their figures didn't match at all. Reconsidering, Luna Phuong thought she might be a concubine of her father-in-law. With high status and wealth, taking a young concubine like this was not difficult. So Luna Phuong slowly followed and asked, "Hello, young mistress." Luna Phuong still didn't know how to address her properly, so she called her, young mistress. The girl in ancient attire stopped, and Luna Phuong also stopped. She didn't dare to ask anything, because the pressure of fear still remained. In the young Master Leo's room, he was sleeping soundly, but suddenly opened his eyes, waking up, looking towards the door as if sensing his surroundings. Outside, the mysterious girl in ancient attire stood still, not turning to look at Luna Phuong or replying, not even a single word. She just continued walking. Luna Phuong felt very strange at this moment. A myriad of questions filled her mind, mixed with fear. She continued to follow the girl, even though she had no idea where they were going. In front of her, the mysterious girl with hair flowing down her back swayed. Her entire body emitted a cold aura that emanated towards Luna Phuong, who was following behind. In the deserted hallway, moonlight shone down on the Mac mansion. A girl of Luna Phuong's age silently walked along the corridor and turned into another wing of the mansion. After following the mysterious girl this far, Luna Phuong finally realized and felt strange. She didn't know where she was standing anymore. In front, the girl stopped before the last room at the end of the corridor. She still didn't turn to look at Luna Phuong, but continued to approach the room. The mysterious girl's hand reached out, lightly swept across the door latch, and it immediately opened before Luna Phuong's astonished eyes. She didn't know how the girl had opened it so easily without a key. As the door opened, The girl in front immediately walked inside, not waiting for Luna Phuong at all. Luna Phuong stood there dumbfounded, unsure what to do. She didn't know why the girl had intentionally led her here. She swallowed hard, then stepped inside. The room was pitch black. For some reason, everything in the room was clearly visible to Luna Phuong. There were no candles lit. Luna Phuong quickly recognized this as the Mac family's study, with dozens of bookshelves towering over her head. She quickly glanced around to find the girl from earlier and saw her ahead, some distance away. She turned to the right and her footsteps disappeared behind a bookshelf. Seeing that the person was out of sight, Luna Phuong quickly stepped inside to follow. Reaching the place where the girl had turned and looking to the right, she again saw no girl. Luna Phuong paused, a little stunned, murmuring, unable to understand where the person had gone so quickly. Her whole body began to tremble. She continued to search desperately but saw no sign of the girl. Luna Phuong glanced around, and by now, for some reason, everything appeared very clearly in her eyes. The moonlight couldn't penetrate deep into this room, and there was no other large enough light source. Her eyes paused, then Luna Phuong stopped completely, focusing intently on the corner of the room opposite. Her wide eyes focused on a painting hanging there. Luna Phuong slowly approached, though a little fear still lingered in her heart. She stared intently at the painting of a girl in ancient attire. Luna Phuong found this person very familiar. The closer she got, the more everything on the girl's face felt familiar. Her mouth stammered, then she said, "That girl." The person painted in the portrait was none other than the girl who had just led Luna Phuong here. This made her feel even stranger. She didn't understand why this person would lead her here just to see a painting of herself. Luna Phuong felt even stranger that this painting was hanging in the corner of the room. If it was a member of the Mac family, why would it be like this? Luna Phuong gasped, but before she could make a sound, a hand was placed on her shoulder. The person quickly covered her mouth and whispered, "What are you doing here?" Luna Phuong, her mouth covered, could only stammer, her eyes wide with fear, looking at the man whose arm was wrapped tightly around her body. "I asked what you're doing here," Luna Phuong stammered. Do you know where this is? Why would you come in here without permission?" "It won't be good if others find out." Luna Phuong still didn't know how to answer, her eyes briefly glancing at the painting beside her. Leo, at this moment, also noticed her gaze, and looking at the painting, he showed a slight look of astonishment. "Are you here for this, young mistress?" But Leo's question was a little strange, so Luna Phuong immediately said, "Why, young master, do you know what that painting is?" "No, I don't." Luna Phuong looked disappointed, not quite believing what he said because of his tone earlier. Leo then continued, "Let me take you back to your room. Don't stay here, it's not good." Leo finished speaking and pulled Luna Phuong's hand to leave, not giving her a chance to react. In the corner, the painting of the girl on the white paper remained silent. The girl's expression in the painting exuded a cold, beautiful look in her ancient attire. After the two left, a thin stream of crimson blood suddenly oozed from the painted girl's portrait, running down the painting and dripping onto the floor. Immediately after, from within the painting, the figure of a girl, the very one who had just led Luna Phuong here, emerged. Her blurry figure stepped out of the painting, her mournful eyes fixed on the empty space. On the girl's neck was a cut, no longer bleeding. That person was none other than Phuong Ngoc. She had died 1,000 years ago, on the night the Phuong family was annihilated. Leaving the study, Leo finally released Luna Phuong's hand and slowly walked forward, reminding her, "Young mistress, you've just arrived here. Don't go wandering around the mansion alone at this hour. If you want to explore, wait until morning and have a maid accompany you. Don't go by yourself like that. I'm telling you, some things shouldn't be curious about, understand?" Luna Phuong's face trembled slightly, listening to Leo's every reminder, her heart aching as she looked at the young man's back in front of her. Leo stopped, then turned around to look at her, startling Luna Phuong with fear. He frowned, looking behind her, and said, "Young mistress, go back to your room and rest." Hearing his somewhat sharp tone, Luna Phuong had to lower her head and quickly walked back to her room. As she passed him, she seemed to hear a heavy sigh and felt Leo's somber gaze on her. Luna Phuong walked past Leo, then quickly pushed open the door and entered. Outside, he turned back to his cold expression, looking directly down the corridor and said, "Who's there? Come out now." Immediately, from the end of the corridor, the somewhat familiar figure of a girl in ancient attire with a forlorn face appeared before Leo's eyes. Leo then softly asked, "You?" The girl continued to approach slowly. Leo just stood still, his eyes flashing with a strange light. A moment later, the girl, whose beauty was no less than Luna Phuong's. Looking closely at her face, he felt that she and Luna Phuong bore a striking resemblance. The girl stood directly in front of Leo, a cold smile on her lips. A chill radiated from her body, seeping into his skin. Her mouth began to speak in a deep voice, not sounding like an ordinary human. Ancestor Mac and Phuong, it's been a long time since we last met. Returning to her room, Luna Phuong saw Marcus lying on the bed with his eyes closed. As she approached, she heard him ask, "It's late, where have you been?" Luna Phuong was startled and quickly replied, "I had trouble sleeping, so I went for a walk outside." Lying on the bed, Marcus smacked his lips and said, "Next time you want to go somewhere, tell me, and I'll go with you. It's dangerous to go alone like that." Marcus finished speaking, then gave a warning glare, then narrowed his eyes, having accidentally said too much. Luna Phuong just nodded submissively and lay down beside him. She felt Marcus was a bit strange at this moment, not like his usual self. Luna Phuong lay there, contemplating the painting she had just seen. From the moment she looked at the face of the girl in the painting, she had a feeling that it was none other than herself. However, given Leo's attitude earlier, Luna Phuong thought he might have painted it himself, but dared not admit it. Then she thought about the person who led her to that room. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't figure out who it was, only certain that the attire she was wearing was similar to the person in the painting. The more she thought about it, the more she couldn't understand why the girl in the painting looked so much like her. And the girl who led her there was wearing ancient attire. These were all confusing mysteries that couldn't be explained. As she drifted in thought, Luna Phuong suddenly felt a cold draft down her spine and the sensation of someone staring at her. She quickly turned her head and screamed in the dark night. "Why you? What's wrong?" Luna Phuong's frantic scream echoed throughout the Mac mansion. Immediately upon hearing the scream, the door burst open. A figure rushed straight inside. It was none other than Leo. Rushing to where Luna Phuong was screaming, Leo couldn't help but be shocked by the sight before him. Marcus was on the bed, his body contorted, his tongue hanging out, drooling, his eyes fierce and bloodshot, emitting a strange, demonic color. Leo snorted coldly, staring at his brother's twisted body, then quickly pulled Luna Phuong and said, "Get out of here quickly. Lock the door, don't let anyone into this room." Luna Phuong was still trembling at the horrifying sight before her. She didn't understand why Marcus had transformed into such a terrifying state. As Luna Phuong stood there trembling, Leo yelled again, "Get out of here quickly. Lock the door, don't let anyone in." Luna Phuong, now frightened by Leo's attitude, turned and ran outside, her eyes still filled with worry, looking at him. Leo then said, "Get outside, don't worry about me." Inside the room, once Luna Phuong had closed the door, Marcus's contorted body had almost completely transformed, no longer human, but a ferocious demon. Young Master Leo's eyes were filled with contemplation as he looked at his brother's form. He wondered, "Did you also?" Right before Leo, Marcus, in his demonic form, snickered and said, "You think only you can transform, little brother." Leo observed Marcus silently, then Marcus looked towards the door and said, "The crimson essence of the demon, I need it." Leo gritted his teeth, looking at his brother. "Give it up, wouldn't it be better to just live like this?" Marcus then burst out laughing and said, "Better, a demon without crimson essence, how can it live well? When did my little brother become so foolish?" Leo continued to speak somberly, "Big brother, if you still consider me your brother, then give it up." "I don't want this." Leo glanced at Marcus, thinking something, then said, "Are you trying to protect your sister-in-law, or are you just thinking nonsense? She's my wife, how dare you think of her? If so, then get out of my way so I can take her in. Do you know that demon blood has only reappeared after 1,000 years? If you continue to block me, don't blame me for being cruel." Outside the room, Luna Phuong still stood by the door, hearing nothing from inside. The other household members who had heard the commotion quickly gathered. Luna Phuong immediately stopped anyone trying to enter. "Everyone, stop. Young Master Leo said no one is allowed inside." Hearing this, the crowd retreated, not daring to defy young Master Leo's command. Only Patriarch Mac frowned, looking at Luna Phuong, then leaned closer to the room with worry. Unlike Luna Phuong and some others, he had clearly heard the sounds inside. Marcus, threatening Leo, stood blocking the door, then furiously charged to attack. Before the demonic attack could even touch Leo, he quickly retreated backward. Marcus was surprised. "Oh, you already know, don't you?" Leo didn't need to show surprise. Marcus then chuckled, realizing his younger brother had also awakened the demon bloodline within him. However, he found it strange that Leo had managed to dodge his powerful attack without even transforming into a demon. Realizing his brother's profound expression, Leo then smiled and said, "You recognize it now, don't you? Stop, quickly." Marcus's face paled slightly as he realized what his brother was talking about, and he said in a low voice, "So that's how it is. You're lucky. As long as I get her blood, you won't dare to talk to your elder brother like that." Leo looked at Marcus. Marcus, having no other choice, had to return to his normal human form. He quickly fainted, collapsing onto the floor. Outside, Patriarch Mac had heard the conversation between a human and a demon in the room. He looked at Luna Phuong, then rubbed his chin as if he understood. He shook his head and said, "Open the door." Luna Phuong was surprised, but she didn't dare to argue with his words. She intended to step aside to let the others open the door and enter. Inside, they saw Leo sitting beside the bed. On the bed lay Marcus, who had completely returned to normal. Leo stood up, looked at his father, and said, "What is going on?" Hearing his son's question, Patriarch Mac sighed softly, looking at the people around them. "This is not the place to talk. Come to my study and I will tell you." Patriarch Mac left, closing his eyes slightly. Leo quickly followed. He glanced at Luna Phuong, looking at her with a somber gaze. Upon arriving, Leo closed the door. Patriarch Mac stood opposite him and asked, "I think you already know, don't you?" Leo nodded immediately. "Yes, father." His father sighed and shook his head. Leo then asked, "What's wrong with my brother? Why is he like this?" "This story is quite long, but since you've already seen it, I won't hide it from you anymore. As you know, our family all carries demon blood. This bloodline has existed within us for thousands of years. Very little of what happened in the past has been passed down. There are many books in the study about this, but I only know a fraction of it. We only know that our clan carries demon blood. I do, and your brothers do too. That blood, combined with a certain suitable trigger for each person, will gradually manifest and transform us into demons. However, everything about this family is from the past. Although we can still transform into demons now, we no longer use it to compete or fight with anyone. That's why, for several generations, this has only been a family secret. No one besides those with demon blood knows about it." Leo nodded then. "But what about my brother? Why is he?" Patriarch Mac sighed softly and continued, "I won't hide anything from you. After I let you leave home for a while, your brother began to show signs of demon blood, and in a short time, it fully manifested. Fortunately, no one discovered it. After transforming once, when he wakes up, he doesn't remember what happened, not even his transformation into a demon. His body quickly weakens." Leo listened to his father describe exactly what he had witnessed, and his expression grew solemn. "So why did something like this happen? No wonder my brother seemed like a different person when he transformed into a demon." "Yes, each time it happens, even I am surprised by his demeanor and changes. Several times, I almost couldn't stop him from going outside, not to mention being discovered. He might even harm people." Leo continued to listen to his father. "After he awakened his demon blood and showed these symptoms, we had to go into the study ourselves to investigate and discovered something." "What was it, father?" "It was recorded in a book. It said that among demon clans like ours, there will come a time when some individuals will experience such a condition. To cure it and remove it from the bloodline, the blood of a demon-blooded woman from another clan is required. This blood is said to appear only once every 1,000 years. So I was helpless, not knowing how to solve it. Finding a girl with such blood is already difficult, because as far as I know, currently only the Mac family has demon blood. So where would we find such a thing? And that girl's blood is so rare that it only appears once every 1,000 years. This truly made me powerless. If things continue like this, your brother will surely die." "So, is it Luna Phuong?" "Yes, she is the one who carries demon blood, and it's the kind of blood that can save him. Honestly, I'm not sure because I don't feel any demon essence in her, but young Master Marcus said he could sense it, so I had no other choice. Our family found a way to bring that girl here as a daughter-in-law. I thought one chance was better than no hope at all." After saying this, he sighed. Patriarch Mac suddenly remembered something and said, "But earlier I sensed that you didn't transform into a demon, yet you were able to dodge your brother's attack. Have you been in contact with demon blood for a long time?" Patriarch Mac looked utterly astonished, stammering, unable to speak coherently. Leo then said, "Actually, she once gave me blood, not exactly gave it, Father probably doesn't know, but before I went to her house. Luna Phuong cut her hand, and I accidentally got some of that blood. Patriarch Mac was once again surprised, remembering the time when his son was always obedient, then suddenly began going out to play all day. After a while, he suffered a severe, near-fatal fever, but miraculously survived. It turned out that Leo had gone to Luna Phuong's house that day, and the two had developed feelings for each other. Patriarch Mac was silent, understanding their relationship. It turned out that the truth about how to save his son, written in the ancient book, had been flawed. It merely required taking the person's blood and administering it, not marrying her, and using the blood of her biological child and the one who needed absorption. He also realized that because of Leo, the blood's effects were not just limited to this. It also gave a demon human strength without needing to transform, even making them stronger than usual. Leo looked at his father and said, "Father, do you know about the painting hanging in the study?" Hearing the question, Patriarch Mac paused and replied, "You mean that painting?" Leo nodded. His father shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. I only know it has been passed down for many generations until now, and that outsiders are not allowed to see it." Leo then said solemnly, "That painting is 1,000 years old and it depicts a truly brutal truth. Do you want to know about it?" Leo nodded and spoke a name that shocked his father. "The person in that painting is Phuong Ngoc. Isn't that name familiar? Phuong, the Phuong family." "Yes, she is also of the Phuong family, like your brother's concubine, Luna Phuong." Patriarch Mac was now stunned by this truth, yet still didn't understand everything. Leo then explained, 1,000 years ago, an event occurred that our ancestors never wanted to recall. Back then, there wasn't just one family with demon blood like ours, but many. However, the competition among these families became fierce, so dozens, even hundreds of families collapsed, leaving only two families. One is our Mac family and the other. Leo paused here. Patriarch Mac gasped and said, "Is it the Phuong family?" Leo then nodded and replied, "You are right, father." In those days, the Mac and Phuong families were the two remaining forces of demon humans, continuing to fight for dominance. But then, a person carrying the Crimson Essence bloodline, just like Luna Phuong now, also appeared. That person was the girl named Phuong Ngoc. Knowing of her existence, our Mac family sought to seize it. It was a pity that the competition between the two families was too fierce back then. So it wasn't just about taking her as a wife for one of our clan members to obtain the Crimson Essence. The Mac family went further, annihilating the entire Phuong family, leaving no one alive. Patriarch Mac's entire body trembled upon hearing this. He stammered, "Take her as a wife, but why would they agree to such a competitive marriage?" Leo then told his father, "It was because the Mac family offered a covenant. After the children of both families married, all rivalry would completely cease, and they could coexist after hundreds of years of conflict. The Phuong family at that time did not want to create any more enmity, and such an arrangement seemed good, so they agreed. However, at the last moment, the Mac family betrayed them, trapping the Phuong family in a deadly ambush. There were also many traitors within the clan, so everything was decided. Before that, the two sides' strengths were almost equal. The daughter of the Phuong family patriarch at that time, Phuong Ngoc, knew that if she died, the goal of those people would not be achieved. She took her own life. The Mac family, although unable to obtain it then, could still prolong the life of their loved one who was in a state similar to your brother now. It was only a pity that their blind pursuit of power prevented them from knowing that Phuong Ngoc's blood was the antidote. Over the years, the Mac family's deliberate annihilation of the Phuong clan gradually faded into oblivion. No one mentioned it anymore, and it wasn't written down much. So, it was difficult for them to know this truth. Patriarch Mac listened, utterly stunned by what his own ancestors had done 1,000 years ago. A truth so brutal that he only learned it at this age. He was no longer surprised, but wondered why his son knew it so clearly. Although Leo didn't explain, he signaled for someone to appear. Immediately, the somewhat familiar figure of a girl appeared before Patriarch Mac's eyes. He gasped as he realized it was the girl painted in the portrait. She then explained the painting to him. That year, Ancestor Mac and Hai was heartbroken by Phuong Ngoc's death and felt immense guilt. He couldn't defy his father but had to participate in that fateful night, yet he didn't personally kill anyone. That day, after he transformed into a demon and charged into battle, he only tried to save a few people and did not engage in combat with anyone. However, his ability was limited, so Ancestor Mac and Phuong could only help a few Phuong family members escape and hide. Feeling guilty towards the family of the girl he loved, he personally painted a portrait of Phuong Ngoc and spent his days and nights in sorrow. Ancestor Mac and Phuong then took his own life. Before his death, he had an ability similar to Leo's now, so he left behind a prophecy that no one dared to destroy Phuong Ngoc's painting. Whoever destroys the painting, no matter who they are, will suffer the consequences. Ancestor Mac and Phuong's death left a tragic legacy for both clans. The Mac family at that time eliminated their biggest rival, but over time, they gradually became more reclusive. The demon-blooded clans also faded into oblivion with the brutal family feud. Patriarch Mac listened, his mind reeling, his body trembling as he looked at his family and the stories from a few days ago. He had even thought that the Mac family had become decadent, not like 1,000 years ago, but now he understood just how terrifying the Mac family, and even the Phuong family, had been back then. He now knew that his two sons were the reincarnations of the two people from 1,000 years ago. Leo was Ancestor Mac and Phuong, and Marcus was Mark. After more than 1,000 years, everything had reappeared, driven by the same cause. The only difference was that there was no longer a confrontation between the two families. Patriarch Mac realized that this time, things might be resolved more easily, but the truth hit him hard when his eldest son almost lost his mind. When Marcus woke up the next day, although he hadn't transformed into a demon, he frantically searched for Luna Phuong. Seeing him rush out frantically, the servants quickly tried to stop him, but were brutally beaten by Marcus. Some even broke bones and fainted when hit. Upon hearing the commotion, the entire household was terrified, and not a few ran away. As Marcus frantically searched, an unfamiliar figure, a shadowy presence, suddenly appeared before him, blocking his path. At first, careless, Marcus was hit by this person, causing him immense pain. The masked figure in front was the same one who had appeared behind Leo the previous night, having been given demon blood by Leo to help him. Today, seeing the critical situation and knowing Marcus was targeting Luna Phuong, this person had to reveal themselves to stop him and wait for Patriarch Mac and Leo to return from wherever they had gone. Leo, who was outside, sensed the danger and immediately signaled his father. The two quickly rushed back home. Marcus, having been hit, wiped a drop of blood from his mouth and realized that the opponent was not normal. If he hadn't transformed into a demon, he surely couldn't have done that. Marcus's entire body immediately transformed before everyone's terrified eyes. Mrs. Thur, seeing her son transform like this, gasped and fainted. On this side, Marcus looked at the masked figure and sneered, "You're also a demon, aren't you? But what now?" Saying this, Marcus, in his demon form, charged to attack. In an instant, the masked figure could no longer resist and fell to the ground. Marcus then rushed to finish him off, but a voice echoed, "Stop! Listen to me, stop now, my son." Marcus stopped and looked at his father, then said, "Father, where is she? Hand her over quickly. Her blood, her blood." Leo, at this moment, also knew that his brother had completely gone insane when he transformed into a demon, and he knew Marcus understood the truth about Luna Phuong's blood. But in that state, he wanted to kill her to obtain her blood. Leo knew that only he could resolve this matter now. Without hesitation, Leo rushed to stop his brother. While they were focused, Luna Phuong suddenly approached, looking distraught. Seeing her appear, Marcus smiled and charged towards her, despite his brother's relentless attempts to stop him. Luna Phuong, at this moment, did not react at all. She allowed him to attack her, and immediately her arm bled as it was struck by Marcus. Although Leo was trying his best to hold him back, the blood that shot from her arm immediately entered Marcus's mouth. Marcus recoiled, smacking the blood in his mouth, then his body continued to transform. His entire body now became even more grotesque, his mouth snarling fiercely. "Blood, I need blood, more blood." Once again, Marcus charged to attack Luna Phuong, who stood still. Leo and Patriarch Mac, along with a group of people, rushed forward. From somewhere, no one else but Patriarch Phuong, Luna Phuong's father, also rushed in. However, they couldn't stop Marcus. The demon fiercely charged with a look of intense craving. As his hand was about to strike Luna Phuong's body, Marcus's expression suddenly changed in an instant. His entire arm exploded before everyone's horrified eyes. He stared at the person in front of him, stammering. A huge explosion echoed throughout the entire area, and a faint light marked the end of a feud that had existed for 1,000 years between the demon clans. One was a demon, the other was a ghost.